Oh, come on. Come on. Come on. The following is a numerical list of everything I know about Warhammer. A.
That's not numerical.
This is how you spell it. 2.
There you
This
go.
is not how you spell it. 3.
That's a Roman 5.
Leave this section blank. Why does it feel like for every one Warhammer game I find and play, another 10 fly under my radar? They make so many. In the time it took me to write this review, they announced, produced, and released like 16 of them. Hell, reach under your desk now and you'll probably find one just laying there. Yeah, see? Here's one. Oh, they misspelled it. What about you? Is there one under your desk?
No, it can't be.
What's the matter?
What is it?
What is it?
It's a FIFA game.
Step away from it!
It's a sports game. What do I do?
Step away from it.
I'm stepping back.
Reach under the bed
Okay.
and get me the rifle of killing.
I'm too scared to move.
Get it now, Feldor! Do you want the FIFA to transform into an ultimate team?
Okay. Here.
Step back.
Kill it.
Step back,
What are you
Feldor.
waiting for? Kill it.
I will see you in hell, FIFA! And that's when I said, Warhammer? I hardly know her. Anyway, the lore of this universe always seemed really cool and interesting, but none of the few games I've played based on it have ever done anything interesting story-wise, even if those games were actually really good, like Space Marine or Vermintide. Maybe no one's been able to do it right yet, or maybe it's just so impenetrable it's a miracle any good games come from it at all. Enter Warhammer Fire Warrior, released for the PlayStation 2 and PC in October of 2003 by Kuju Limited, a first-person shooter set in a bleak universe. Fire Warrior dropped on the store shelves almost 2 years after Halo blew everyone's butts into their faces. Halo was the epitome of a game changer. After it dropped, it became clear you couldn't just throw any old FPS at the wall anymore. Studios were realizing they had to step their game up in a big way. So naturally, I was very curious upon starting Fire Warrior up what the team at Kuju Limited would do to try and compete with what at the time was the gold standard in console shooters. Would they just ignore Halo and do their own thing? Take a little inspiration from it? A little from column A, a little from column V? Let's take a look.
Oh, right. Does it have any microtransactions?
What? It's a PS2 game.
Oh. Yeah.
Let me start off by saying this. I like linear games.
What?
Yeah, I said it.
Hello, FBI? I'd like to report a slut.
Alright. I don't dislike open world games. It's just kinda hard to ignore how they've taken over the industry and today account for a large portion of shooters on store shelves. It's just, to me, there's something to be said about walking down a hallway and blowing the balls off everything. Just not worrying about driving to an objective and getting distracted and constantly referring to a map, just pure action.
Hello, FBI. I'd like to report a reasonable retort.
Hey, thanks, Feldor.
Sir, this is the FBI. If you want to report a slut, why not call your mom?
Oh!
Fire Warrior, right out of the gate, embodies this philosophy like no game I've played in the last 15 years. You are literally just walking down glorified hallways barely large enough for two blokes to stroll down. It's so linear that when you get to a slightly larger section, it feels like you just walked out of a Fallout vault into the wasteland. It definitely opens up a bit more as you play, with some open-ended levels and larger arena-like areas, but for the most part, this is the epitome of a hallway shooter. And boy, is it orange. Like, hyper orange.
Alright, listen up, soldiers. These new face masks we got, for some reason, turn everything a blood red to a dark orange color. It does take a few days for this effect to wear off.
It's a stark game right out of the gate. You are stuck in these claustrophobic trenches while an unforgiving sun bakes the destroyed and very much active battlefield around you. It really feels like a war has been raging here for a long time before you landed. I mean, color me impressed. Color me dumbfounded then when I die almost immediately. Huh? What the hell happened? I start again, this time paying close attention to my health. The game lifts its shield and health mechanics from Halo basically wholesale. You have a shield that regenerates when depleted and health pickups to replenish your health bar. If you're gonna steal from Halo, it's a good mechanic to take. The problem is, there's almost no audio or visual cues to let you know when you're taking too much damage. So enemies can just melt your shield off in less than a second and you'd never know if you weren't looking directly at it.
Unfortunately, we went to the cheapest manufacturer. We were supposed to have a heads-up display displaying all the health and shields. Unfortunately, every once in a while this malfunctions, and you may die before you know it.
They have this really cool visual effect where the screen experiences like a sharp jolt of digital distortion, and at first I thought this must be the visual indicator to let me know I've lost my shield, but it isn't. It seems random as to when it happens. Sometimes I see it when I've only taken very minor damage, so you can't really rely on it to tell you anything at all.
Going along with this cheapest manufacturer, we unfortunately got masks that were a little glitchy. Every once in a while, it's like a computer screen trying to devour your face. Do not worry, this is okay.
I'm still trying to figure out if there's an audio cue. I think there might be, but it's so low in the mix I'm literally sitting here editing this footage trying to tell if that slight Halo-esque shield recharge sound I'm hearing is real or if I'm just imagining it. As long as you keep a closer eye on it than you think you should, you'll be fine. But the second you let your guard down to focus purely on where you're aiming, you are going to get your face blasted out of your ass. The whole system needed more work. It borrows the Halo concept behind energy weapons being better for taking down shields and traditional bullets being better for health, but the entire thing becomes kind of pointless when you can't rely on the game to feed you that important information. But I digress. Actually, that's a good word. I'm gonna work that one more into the vocab. The impressive art design reminded me of some of Killzone's destroyed landscapes, and even though this game predates it, Killzone definitely has the larger mindshare in the industry. But I feel like Fire Warrior does Killzone better than Killzone. Killzone was going for an oppressive universe with moments of beauty in between, and Fire Warrior just kind of wants you to know everything is fucked. Everything is fucked. This is a dark game, both in its art design and literally, it's dark. I worried about capturing footage of this one on a PS2 because of how hard it can be to see your surroundings and knowing damn well that capturing component signals can make it even darker. But this isn't a negative while in the game, it feels deliberate. It is a very pretty brown and red game. There's not a lot of color here, but unlike a lot of the brown shooters we'd go on to see on the following generation of consoles, here it doesn't feel cynically motivated by a desire to seem badass and grown up.
Oh, you looking for color, little boy? The only colors here are blood red and shit brown. Now sit down and shoot stuff.
They wanted you to feel like this universe is bleak. Its world is built with rusted metal and blood. There's no escape, even in the stars. It's surprisingly effective. They do a lot with a little here. The PS2 is no powerhouse, but the art carries it all the way. It's lovingly crafted and feels authentic, even to someone who has no idea if it actually is or not, and that's fucking impressive. What makes this authenticity even more special is the fact that I still have no idea what the hell is going on. I don't know who these characters are. I don't know what they're fighting for. I don't know anything. Never have, never will, yet I'm still somehow invested in shooting them.
Listen up, ladies. Now, you may be clueless as why you're down on the ground shooting people. I know half the time I am, but you just gotta suck it up like a gigantic dog up the butthole and keep moving forward. You have no clue how badly those enemies need to die. They are practically begging for it.
I even played the tutorial. I even played the tutorial. Why does it keep sounding like... I even played the
tutorial.
You know, like a normal person, expecting to get some backstory while I learn the ropes. Also, Mini Ran, does anyone not play the
tutorial?
Like some kind of certifiable nut baby?
The fuck is a nut baby? Can I have one?
What do? You just throw caution to the wind and say, fuck it, I'll figure it out. And then you play the entire game not knowing that if you press both bumpers at the same time, you could slam your elbows into the ground and dig up some coin for the haberdashery or something. And here was no exception. I played it, only it was the one time where it actually was pointless. It's the most, this is how you jump, this is how you crouch, and this button shoots you to shoot it
tutorial
I've ever played, and it still managed to leave out important basic information.
Honestly, now I just can't stop thinking about nut babies.
You can press left on the D-pad to bring out a sword. I didn't know you can press left on the D-pad to bring out a sword. They didn't tell me you can press left on the D-pad to bring out a sword. I accidentally figured out you can press left on the D-pad to bring out a sword when I accidentally pressed left on the D-pad and brought out a fucking sword.
Well, shit. I completely forgot to mention about your melee sidearm. It is a 20-pound titanium sword of death. Unfortunately, sometimes it may get stuck in your scabbard.
Oh, but it gets better. Here you see me realizing for the first time as I capture footage that pressing the select button turns on night vision. Something that would have come in handy for the past 6 hours had I known it existed. You may be saying to yourself, but Mr. Dumb Asshole, didn't you press all the buttons at the start of the game to see what everything did? You've already demonstrated that the
tutorial
can't be relied upon, and I'd respond, first of all, it's Mr. Dumb Asshole, and third or fourth,
Yes, I fucking did.
at the end of the
tutorial
is a circular room with literally 8,000 terminals, all of which give you info dumps on the world, its factions, and goings-on. I listened to all of them. I absorbed absolutely none of it. I still don't know what the fuck is going on. You know, this may be unprecedented. I'm gonna digress a second time. I am a big fan of environmental variety in my games. I miss the old PS1, PS2 era biomes that every game seemed to have. Here's your wooded area, here's your desert area. Let's go down the list. Do you like lava? Of course you like lava, you shit fuck. Here's your lava section. Fireteam doesn't really have this necessarily. You'll travel from planets to giant ships in space, aka spaceships for the layman, but the variety is more nuanced. There is variety within the sameness. I mean, one of the ships is like a giant church in space with these gorgeous stained windows that reflect onto the environment. The architecture alone would be impressive even today, and the atmosphere gets even thicker the further you get in. It just never lets you up for air.
Loot boxes?
What? No, I said never lets you up for air. Gameplay-wise, it's amazing it doesn't feel monotonous considering what you're doing. You're just walking down hallways, picking up an odd key here and there, shooting at enemies who move around a lot, and rinse and repeat. Aiming feels great. It's a polished, we learned a lot from Halo, traditional dual-stick setup that we've all come to know and love, and they do it well. There's a pretty generous aim assist that'll keep you targeted on enemies who rarely stand still, and while it's not nearly as generous as something like Die Hard Vendetta, it's definitely more than Halo's. It works well, and it keeps you from getting overwhelmed. I never had a problem lining up shots and blowing dudes away. It feels good. Although, like Halo, there's no aim down sights for most weapons, you won't really miss it. What it has in great controls, though, it lacks in feedback. Enemies barely react to getting Swiss cheesed, and the only time I ever knew if I put enough lead into someone was looking at the red circle in my reticle that goes blue once whatever you're aiming at stops breathing.
This is a Mark 47 double-barreled sniper rifle. Now, every once in a while, you will shoot someone and it will look like you did not connect. Do not worry. This is a side effect of the long-term photonic radiation. It will kill them. It just takes a few seconds to stop their heart.
Some of the special enemies explode when killed in a very satisfying display of gore, and most enemies will appropriately scream and over-exaggerate their deaths when you kill them, but most have almost no reaction for when they're getting shot. It's not a deal breaker by any stretch, though. The guns themselves feel good to shoot, look good, and animate well. I especially appreciate the reload animations, an interesting mix of futuristic sci-fi weapons and old-fashioned hot lead dealers. I like how this one weapon doubles as a grenade launcher, and I basically always kept one on me at all times since it made dealing with the larger enemies and groups much more manageable. And that's one area where they did get feedback right. Launching a grenade into someone and watching them fly back and collapse on fire is as satisfying and visually neat as it sounds. But seriously, what's up with this throw when I don't have that gun? Did my guy break his throwing arm on the way down?
And this is our new grenade. It is new Dura titanium, 40,000 pounds. Have fun trying to throw it.
You know what? Fuck it. I may get arrested here, but I'm digressing 3 times.
What? Can he do that?
My show. I'm doing it. Bottom line here, Fire Warrior is exactly the type of turn your brain off linear shooter that I love and miss. There's nothing here that's gonna tax your brain. This is as linear and as straightforward as it gets, and it's great. It knows what it is and it excels at it. You're gonna walk down hallways, you're gonna pick up keys, and you're gonna shoot at everything that dares to try and stop you. And you know what? You're gonna fucking love it. Just enjoy simple linear things. Not everything needs to be a fucking build 10,000 ladders and put them up a sheep's ass. I don't know. I don't play Minecraft. Alright, let's just talk about difficulty spikes really quickly, because this is a PS2 era shooter after all, and weird difficulty spikes are the name of the game.
I thought it was Warhammer.
No, it's a figure of... Did you just dad joke me? Thankfully, or perhaps mercifully, they included checkpoints. Oh my god, a novelty back then. Man, you remember not knowing what you were bringing home from the store back in the day? You never knew what kind of save system you were getting with the game? Was this a start the entire mission over when you die kind of game? Save anywhere you want and hopefully not fuck yourself over with a bad save type of joint? Does it autosave? Are there checkpoints? A mismatch of the above? You were rolling the dice back then. My god, do I sound like an old guy right now?
Yes.
Fuck. Fireteam settled on a checkpoint system and executes on it fairly well. Each mission takes around 15 to 20 minutes and usually have at least one checkpoint throughout.
Why did you say bottom line earlier? If you still had things to talk about, that's not how you do it.
I never had to replay more than 5 or so minutes when I died, a large amount of time in today's gaming landscape, but a paltry amount for the PS2 generation. But that doesn't mean it isn't cheap when it wants to be cheap. In the later levels, they thought it a good idea to literally spawn enemies who can wreck your day in milliseconds out of thin air directly in front and behind you. Oh, and they make sure sure to flash the screen when it happens for maximum disorientation.
We have just found out recently that the opponent has a teleportation system. They do like to show up directly behind you, so do not assume any area is cleared until you stop receiving bullets in your backside.
The weapons they give you to fight back in these levels suck as well, making sure to sprinkle on a little extra bullshit on top of the shit cake they baked for you. Oh boy. You know what?
Don't you do it.
Don't you do it, die.
Is this legal?
Gress.
Hello, FBI?
Would you stop calling the FBI? Bottom line, great atmosphere, fun if lacking combat, and some cool locations to explore. Fire Warrior is exactly the type of sweet surprise you hope to find when reaching into a backlog and picking out an old game. I might actually play this one a second time. And what greater compliment could you give a game?
Bummer about the microtransactions, though.
Why do you keep saying that? There were no microtransactions.
Yeah, I know. I wish it had them.
What? Wait a minute. Did the FIFA bite you?
I don't know, man. I don't feel so good.
Oh, pal.
Microtransactions. Tell me about the FIFA.
You got it, buddy. It's a bad game. Loaded with manipulative, glorified gambling mechanics that prey on people with addictive personalities or poor self-control. It should be illegal, and I'll never spend a single penny on any microtransaction for as long as I live. And neither will you, pal.
That sounds nice. I'd like to visit FIFA one day.
I know you will, pal. I know. Wow. You do actually poop yourself when you die.
I'll miss you, pal. I'll see you next week.
What the absolute hell, soldier? You just died? What are you, a ground worm? Get off your damn belly, get back up on two legs like a real goddamn soldier, and you show everyone what's in your fist, because you will put it up there